The days of you being able to travel are over. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. In this report, I am going to explain why your days of travel are over, why you will not be able to eat what you want, and why you will not have freedom of speech as you know it. This is not hyperbole. I'm talking about the real deal here. Today, I'll give you all the sources and the information that you need. Let's begin. The first thing we need to look at, number one, is talking about sustainable development. You may have heard of this before, but it's central. It's Agenda 21, it's Agenda 2030. You may have heard these terms before. You may have even got a warning banner at the bottom of this video, but understand simply what that is. We're talking about the United Nations, and under that, all governments basically employing the exact same techniques and strategies in order to, police one thing or another, okay? And it's one aspect related to the climate and one to energy and so on, okay? And so with that in mind, we're going to look into some information that's going to show how they will restrict what you do in your everyday life. And this isn't something in the future. It has already begun. I'm telling you. Watch. A Sustainable Future for Travel. This is a report and warns of, quote, travel extinction. That is a quote, and I'm going to show you that report in a second, where some areas suffer such radical climate change that all tourism there ceases, and a personal carbon allowance that will restrict how often one is permitted travel. Carbon passports, a personal carbon emissions limit, will become the new normal as policy and people's values drive an era of great change. Wait a second. On our current trajectory, we can expect, with a pushback against the frequency with which individuals can travel, with carbon passports set to change the tourism landscape. I'm not kidding when I tell you that we should be freaking out. This is the type of information everybody needs to share. You've got to understand how serious this is. You're going to get, and I've been warning about this for a long time, a carbon allowance, or might be referred to as an allotment, and you're going to be given that. And that might be suitable for your everyday activities. You can go back and forth from work and it's going to be okay, but maybe you can't live too far. And maybe in the Hunger Games scenario, where you have big mega cities, you're going to be able to travel only a short distance. So that means you've got to move closer in where the jobs are. You don't have that freedom to move out in the country or maybe in a more rural setting overall. This is what sustainable development is. They want to make sure that everybody stays jam-packed into these areas so that there is no urban sprawl. They don't want that to happen. This is the report itself. Travel as we know it hovers on the brink of extinction. The industry is faced at this watershed moment with two potential roads ahead. One where climate breakdown and tourism restrictions curb the pursuit of wanderlust, and one where regenerative breakthroughs change the future of travel and the world for the better. Interesting. And of course, at the bottom there, they want to decarbonize travel, and sustainable development is used in there. That term is used everywhere. Now, I don't have time to read this entire report, but the links are in the description under the sources. Just know that this is one piece of the puzzle. It's just a report. But when I see this from one and the other think tank, and it's coming from the World Economic Forum, who we'll talk about, and then we start to see the policies being implemented already today, we understand that this is being given from the highest authorities, and then it passes down from institution to government. Think tanks getting it all over the place, and of course, those think tanks are part of the government, like some individuals. They might be the Council on Foreign Relations. They might be on the World Economic Forum. They might be part of this or that. And so we can see the intertwining and the revolving door. These are problems that we face today. Eat less meat is a message for the rich world in food's first net zero plan. UN's FAO is set to publish a plan for food's climate transition. Food expected to take more of a focus at the COP28 summit in Dubai.
Want to invest in your favorite YouTube creators and connect with them like never before, all while participating in the creator's journey? Introducing Gigastar, a platform that brings creators and fans together as partners. Now you can invest in a creator's YouTube channel through channel revenue tokens, CRTs, while enjoying extra benefits. The CRT is your ticket to an exclusive fan club. Enjoy special perks such as access to creators, unique content, and private events. You'll not only support your favorite channel, but you'll participate in the potential future revenue of the channel alongside your favorite creators. How does Gigastar work? Open an account. Connect your credit card or digital wallet. Buy CRTs from your favorite creators during the drop. Participate in potential future YouTube revenue of the creators channel. Keep the tokens or sell them in secondary markets. Gigastar streamlines the entire experience, making it easy for you to grow with your favorite creators. Connect, grow, join the journey. Learn more and sign up. Gigastar.io.
Okay. Doesn't matter what side you stand on. You might not want meat. You might say it's bad. You might be on the other side of the spectrum where you'll say, no, I only want to eat that. You should be able to do what you think is right. That's the point. It shouldn't be even your government, but even beyond that, to a supranational entity like the UN deciding what you can and cannot consume. Because they're going to force you into a circumstance where that becomes too expensive. There's some sort of weird tax on it. There's going to be some way, shape, or form a restriction on what you can eat, and you're going to get pushed into a corner. And we'll talk more about that in a second. It connects in with this. Bill Gates buying up land, threatening small farms under the guise of saving the planet. We've seen this before. Bill Gates buying a lot of land. And there is a consolidation of power and control. We know that. But it's not just Bill Gates. He happens to buy a lot of that stuff. And then, of course, he's also in pretty much everything else, whether it's the genetically modified food and so on. So we can see that the animals, the crops, they're all getting genetically modified or now using the CRISPR technology. Why do they want CRISPR technology? They're saying, number one, that it's safer. But at the same time, they won't need to label it. That's what they're going for. So you don't know. You say, well, why is this pig the size of a mountain? Well, it's just CRISPR. No worries. We only need to grow one pig per farm because it's going to be something that we could just take care of one time. It's so easy. Hey, look, the pig's happy. It's healthy. No worries. That's kind of a dangerous policy, but here we go. All right. In its 59-page report released this month, the UN Educational, Cultural, and Scientific Organization, that's UNESCO, outlined a series of concrete measures which must be implemented by all stakeholders, that's governments, regulatory authorities, civil society, and the platforms themselves. And so this is all about like what you're allowed to say, like speech, okay? But why is the UN saying that it must be implemented by all the stakeholders? The government has to follow this rule created by the UN. The regulatory agencies have to do that too. Everybody, basically everybody in the world, the UN just dictated a policy on what could be said and what cannot be said. And they're going to determine that. It's literally right here. You're seeing this. And you might say, well, I agree with it. I agree with that, what they said. I agree with the whole thing. But do you still think that the authority should be decided from the very top beyond your government? You tell me. You put that in the comments below. Don't you think that at the very least, it should be on a smaller scale, at least your federal government? If not, down to the state, province, region level? I would think so. That would make a lot more sense because if they're dictating it at the top, they're not even voted in by anybody. Something's not right. But we know that it doesn't matter. in the end. Because there's one thing, I mean, this is just one. I've covered 1,000. Secretive White House surveillance program gives cops access to trillions of US phone records. That's right. They had some leaked police documents, and they verified that a secret government program is allowing federal, state, and the local law enforcement to access phone records of Americans who are not, you heard me right, not suspected of a crime. If they want your phone records, no problem. No problem. And they get that. Do you see? You don't really have rights. They are only there to keep you from rioting because they know the masses of 8 billion people ultimately have more strength than the elitist few. But they need to keep everybody calm. And so they give them their bread and circus. They push them down as far as they can go, and they dehumanize them each and every step of the way. They've gone through multiple programs here, and as much as I can say. Why New York will charge up to $23 a day to drive into Manhattan. So it's going to be between $9 and $23. And I've said this a lot on my Finance Fridays live sessions as part of the mentorship group. If you got to drive in to Manhattan, you work there, but you can't afford Manhattan. You got to live on the outside of that. Well, you're now going to have to pay $23 a day. And what if you're making minimum wage? Well, that's a lot of money. But what if you are, you made $50 million, you're a billionaire. You got to pay $23 as a toll. Do you care? Of course not. It's probably an annoyance, if anything, but it's not going to affect you. So who is this a tax on? Well, of course, it's a tax on the poor people, and it's a tax on the middle class, not on the rich. They're just going to pay it. They don't have a problem. But here we have this Hunger Games scenario of bigger and bigger cities, congestion rising high above the sky with these big, big towers, and slowly but surely getting rid of all the single family homes. This is all part of sustainable development. Ultra low emission zone. That's right. To help clear London's air, the ultra low emission zone operates 24 hours, 7 days a week, every day of the year except Christmas Day. So that's right. If your vehicle doesn't meet ULEZ emission standards and isn't exempt, well, then you need to pay $12.50 daily charge to drive within the zone. Same thing. This is the case. If you do not meet their requirements, you must pay a tax to drive your vehicle in the city center. But what if you work there? What if you have to get there? Well, now that potentially that first hour of work for some people, gone, paid to the tax. You work 8 hours, that first hour, gone. What about the maintenance on your vehicle? What about the gasoline on your vehicle? Oh, no. Now you got to take public transit. Now you're forced to take public transit. And maybe it's not very convenient. And maybe as a result of that, because you got to change here, you got to change there, you got to get on a bus, you got to get on a subway, streetcar, all these things, it's now going to take you an hour and a half. Maybe it's going to take you 2 hours to get to work. Is that reasonable? That's what they're doing. They're squeezing everybody into this, which I think people should live wherever they want and not be taxed based on where they're driving and how they're driving. I don't think that's a solution at all. But it goes down to the food supply as well, because the World Economic Forum wants you to know why we need to give insects the role that they deserve in our food system. That's right, not for those elitists, not for the Bill Gates, but for you. You need to eat the bugs. And Tyson Foods wants to make that happen. Not quite yet, though. They joined the bug protein craze in partnership with Startup. This, my understanding, is it's not for you and I yet. This is to be fed to the animals. But of course, if you're eating the animals, you're doing indirectly. But that's fine. The animals are already eating bugs in many cases. But there's a problem, because it's just one step away from you eating it. And already the crickets and other things are ending up on the shelves. They're being part of a lot of food right now. They're saying, hey, this is a cheaper way to do it. We're going to put it in. And then, yeah, it's FDA approved and all that. I think it's fine if you want to, but you should never be forced to. Look, I can't say a lot of stuff here on this channel, but in my group, in my Finance Friday sessions, I do get into all that. I talk about these type of things, and that's on Friday. It is locked down to the people who are interested in it. There is a link in the description. You go in there. I've basically broke down everything you can get on. I'm trying to get a shopping cart sort of built into that. But anyway, if you're interested in getting the absolute best information, looking at the stock market, I've been able to pinpoint the stock market very accurately because I use something called the money mirror method. I do all these things and I bring that to this small group of people, which, they're benefiting so much, and I hope to give more value to you. I hope that you come and join the group. You can try it for a month. There's no contracts. Check it out. Link is in the description. And I want to highlight the comment of the day, just basically talking about what has happened over the last little while, looking at the consumer. And this one individual, thank you for that comment. I drive for Walmart, and essentially suggesting on Black Friday, on Cyber Monday, people weren't doing what they did before. They weren't buying the flat screen TVs. They were buying the necessities, food and clothing, because people are pushed to the edge because of the devaluation of the currencies, because of what's happening here, and it's all coming to a head. We got to be prepared. We got to be ready. I hope you will be ready. If you appreciate this information, hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to share this with somebody you believe may find it informative. Hit that share button, send it off to somebody, and I do thank you for that. I want to see you tomorrow. Take care.